Saito is a handyman who works in a company and can repair all kinds of tools. Currently, he is unlocking the door of a mother's house who is losing her key. But sadly, when Saito unlocked the door, he was only given a pittance. Many people considered Saito useless and underestimated his abilities. They always pay a price that is far below the standard fee that has been set. Saito is superior also thought that someone else could replace his ability, so Saito could leave this company if he didn't want to accept this job anymore. But one day, he is suddenly transferred to another world with an even more ancient era than Earth. Long story short, after Saito lived in another world, he got a party of 3 people: Old Wizard Morlik, Fairy Lafapan, and one night girl, Ralza. Currently, they were in a dungeon that was usually used to complete quests. Saito's abilities in this world were very useful to his friends because no one else had Saito's abilities. He can open locked rooms in every labyrinth passage of the dungeon. Even Saito could open a treasure chest to get money or gold inside. Because of that, Ralza secretly loves Saito. He can always be relied on in any situation. When Saito managed to open the treasure chest in the room, it turned out to be just a trap, and Ralza immediately killed the monsters that appeared from this chest. Afterward, Ralza's helmet was damaged because they had been doing quests in this dungeon for a long time. Then Saito asked Ralza to take off her helmet so Saito could fix it. Ralza removed her helmet while blushing because Saito was concerned about her. After that, Saito's party relaxed in a large field. Saito was curious about Morlik because he was a great wizard, but unreliable at the party. Ralza and Lafa explained that Morlik had over level 80, and his level was far away compared to Ralza, Lafa, and Saito. Morlik had actually retired to become an adventurer due to his old age, but he was still an adventurer even now. Before Saito entered this world, Ralza and Lafa had a hard time at a party with Morlik. He always forgot magic spells and was a pain in the ass for Ralza and Lafa when fighting so many monsters. Even Morlik forgot where place the dungeon was to teleport himself and occasionally forgot his own party members. Moreover, Morlik forgot his human form and suddenly found himself in a group of undead monsters. Even though Morlik was a forgetful old man, Ralza and Lafa were lucky to have a party member like Morlik. At that time, Ralza and Lafa had died in dungeons, and Morlik had no more mana to use magic. So Morlik immediately dragged Ralza and Lafa's corpses out of the dungeon. Then he sold all party members' equipment to earn money. After that, he immediately paid and revived them back in the church. But Morlik doesn't sell Ralza's bikini outfit, and Ralza is still curious about why Morlik keeps those clothes. Then they would head back to town together, and suddenly Morlik had the usual back pain. Because of that, Lafa healed Morlik's pain with her magic. But the problem is that Lafa always asks for payment from anyone using her magic services. Then Saito offered to help carry Lafa's bag because she looked tired of carrying coins with such a small body. But Lafa refused because she would still carry her own bag. Because of that, Saito made a prettier and easier bag for Lafa to carry on her back. Then Lafa wanted to pay for Saito's services, but Saito didn't want to be paid by Lafa, so he ordered Lafa to cure Morlik's back pain long term. Initially, Lafa disagreed with this, but since this was Saito's decision, Lafa immediately did as he was told. The next day, Saito visited a blacksmith shop run by a teenage girl named Meveno. Saito's friends in this world already knew that Saito was from another world because Saito's abilities were very useful in any case. Shortly after, a knight visits Meveno's shop. When the knight looked at the items there, Saito greeted the knight because it turned out to be Ralza. Ralza and Lafa had been following Saito since this morning. Ralza was curious about Mevena and Saito's relationship because they always seemed to get along well with each other. In Lafa's mind, she was amazed by Saito because he could recognize Ralza even though she was wearing another armor. Afterward, an adventurer wanted to sell a sword dropped from a monster dungeon. He deliberately lied to Mevena because he wanted to earn money. The sword he sold was a broken sword that had only magic added to it. Now the sword has no effect because he has removed the magic. But it turns out that Mevena is the one who gets a huge profit. The sword the adventurer was selling just now was cheap when compared to the mithril material this sword had. Mithril was the most expensive material in this world, so Mevena and Saito could refine this sword into other swords at a high selling price. On the other hand, Ralza still stalks Saito because she is jealous of Mevena. Several days later, Saito's party returned to dungeon quests again. As usual, Morlik kept forgetting the magic spell he wanted to cast. Because of that, Ralza immediately kills the monster to protect Saito. Ralza said Morlik would rather retire because he always forgets magic spells when fighting every monster. But Morlik doesn't want to leave this party because only his attacks have the biggest damage area. Lafa couldn't use large-scale magic because her magic prioritized protection and support only. Hearing all that, Saito wanted Morlik to teach him many magic spells. Saito wanted to be able to use magic so he could help the party fight monsters. After several hours of experimentation, it turned out that Saito couldn't use the magic taught by Morlik. The reason was that Saito didn't have the mana to release the magic. Before long, many goblins suddenly attacked them. Ralza won't be able to fight them because there are too many. When Morlik wanted to use magic, he again forgot his magic spell. Saito immediately reminded Morlik of the spell he wanted to cast, and thanks to Saito, they managed to exterminate many of the goblins in the dungeon. Even though Saito couldn't use magic, he could memorize some of Morlik's magic spells. Because of that, Ralza loved Saito even more. Then they continued exploring the dungeon and arrived at a room with a treasure chest. But this area is anti-magic, so they can't fight optimally if a monster appears suddenly again. Saito tried to open the treasure chest there, and after a few seconds, it turned out to be a trap, just like Minecraft. This resulted in Saito falling into a cave, and his leg was broken. After several hours, Saito's friends finally managed to find another way to save Saito. Saito didn't expect to have friends like this in another world. This was very different from when he was on Earth back then.